Here I am at the Wollombi Road Providores, and we'll duck in and see what they've got on offer for me today. Welcome back, I'm Kimberly and this is Floral Art Online, and this is the fourth of our February 2023 videos using one bunch of flowers that we bought from the Wollombi Road Providores about a week ago. So as I said in one of the other videos, did the first two designs very soon after I bought the bunch of flowers, and then wasn't able to do any more videos for probably a week after that. And so this is what we've got left of the bunch. It's the finer foliage, which is an Australian native, a tea tree, that's dried out. Even though it's been in water, it's dried out sufficiently that I'm just not comfortable using it in a design. Some of the silver dollar has dried out a little bit more than others, and so they are more suitable for a dried design where it's completely dried. So I'll let them dry off so that they're finished drying, and the colour, slight colour change that happens, and then I'll probably use them in something. But what we do have left is a couple of the fresher looking silver dollar stems and our two banksia that we haven't used yet. So that's what we're going to use today. We're going to do it in a little timber. I think it's probably some sort of, she said, not being able to open it. It's got a little cutout there, so it's probably designed to have a spoon or something in it, but I don't really know what you would store in that. That would be straight food stuff. But anyway, that's what it is, and we're going to use that. Actually came from auction. We bought a box of turned timber containers, and this was one of the ones that was in it. So once again, repurposing things rather than tossing them out or sending them to landfill. So that's the container we'll use. We'll use the banksias, we'll use some of the silver dollar. We're not going to use water once again, but if you wanted to use water in that, just a little takeaway container, one of the little circular ones with the fresh water in it, because some of these materials like to be in fresh water rather than any water retaining medium like the green floral foam or the eco floral foam that you can get these days. So reusing anything that you've got around that will fit into that people can't see, or you can't see, will make your arrangements more sustainable as well. So if we look back at what we've done with that one bunch of flowers from the Wollombi Road Providores, we've got 4 designs. Had I been able to work with this material last week or the week before, we would have got probably 6 designs from that one bunch of flowers. So it's always a good idea to take your time choosing that one bunch to make sure that it's going to last you for a few designs or a few placements of designs in the way that you want to use them in your home. I suppose we better get on with doing some designing. And this is the 4th of our February 2023 series using one bunch of flowers that we got from the Wollombi Road Providores. If you haven't seen the other 3 videos, it's probably worthwhile so that you know where we're up to with that particular bunch of flowers. What we've got left that is usable in terms of fresh material are these 2 banksias and some silver dollar stems. So this is going to be quite a simple design because these are very dominant flowers. And they've got some interesting foliage. This is a West Australian species, we know by the type of leaf that it is. And so those 2 are going to feature in this timber bowl that we got at auction in a job lot. What I want to show you is how to use the lid in this design as well, because I think mostly when we looked at this we'd say, oh, we'll leave the lid away, or we'll just put it beside it or whatever. We're going to use that as part of the design. And it's about how you look at the design as well. But we're going to use some of the plant material to actually hold this in place. As I said in one of the other videos, if you wanted to use a water source and have some fresh plant material rather than these, which aren't worried about being out of water because they will just dry as they are over time, you could get a little, I'm looking around trying to see if I've got one handy, but I haven't, a little takeaway container, just a little plastic ones that you could sit in there, or a bowl or a storage bowl of some description, plastic container, anything that will hold the water in it if you are having fresh flowers in it. It'll sit in there comfortably no need to cover it up with anything because you'll have plenty of other material to cover it. So let's get a start on this. First of all, because the stems of these banksias are so woody, I can't use my trusty knife. I will have to use the secateurs. So I'll just cut them down to the size that I want, and then we'll start doing some work with them. Right, so we've got our banksias cut down. What I've got is a nicely forked piece of the silver dollar. And what I wanted to do is use that fork as part of the support for the material that I'm putting in. So this is very much an ikebana technique, just to measure the length that it would come across the container. She said, holding up the camera so you can see what she's talking about. Here, so that we force that side in, so that it's actually pushing against that side, and these will push up against the wall on this side. They'll be nice and upright, but we'll have that space in there where we can put one of these stems through, and that will hold it in place as well. So I'm just going to cut that so that it is forced into that position. And so what I'm doing is just put it in and push these down until they are working against one another. And there we have that in place. Now if you wanted to, if you were using the smaller containers with the water, you'd have them either side, obviously. If this was a waterproof bowl, still use that system, and you have the Kenzans or the pin holders either side, and then you can put the water over the top. And that way, if this needed water, it would still get some water through it. But that's given us some good placements. Here we've got that spot there where we can put something in, gives us nice upright foliage without us having to have anything in there that's holding it in place. Stay. So what we're going to do is use the smaller one in between these two. I'm actually going to turn it out so it's facing out of the container. And we've still got some leaf material which we could leave on that stand, which we will. And once again, I'm wedging that in between where that placement is and where the edges of these branches are. Now we're going to put our lid in. We've got that little cup, which is very convenient, and we're going to push that against the placements that are there, any one of the stems that are there, so that it holds it upright, as you can see. And what that does is give us another area. So in fact, what we could do is we could place this side on rather than front and back. We could have this at the back so it was nice and tall, or we could have it side to side, which I actually prefer. And then all you need to do with the other silver dollar is fill in the gaps that you've got. So we'll get this placement in. Find out which way they want to sit comfortably. Always with your plant material, find out the way that the plant material wants to sit comfortably. Otherwise, you're forever trying to make them do what you want them to do. Best to work with nature rather than fight against it in everything. So we'll just cut some of these into smaller pieces so we can do a bit of filler. Doesn't need much, as you can see. We just want it repeated, that form and that shape and that colour repeated a little bit through the design on both sides. I've forgotten my turntable, so I'm going to have to turn it around myself. Ah, unheard of. Clean up the mess. And there we have it. Very simple design with just 2 flowers from that bunch, a little bit of foliage, mostly the foliage that is already on the banksias. So if you had some other sort of like sunflowers or another large flower like that, the lilies would work well in it, but you'd have to have water for them. That sort of thing, simple, 2 flowers, and it's done with lots of foliage. Use the lid or use the container lid if you're doing this type of things, and it just adds to the interest that is in that particular design. It mirrors the colour that we've got in the banksias as well, so it works on all sorts of levels. So there you have it. That's our 4th design from our bunch of flowers from Wollombi Road Providores. I'm Kimbalia, this is Floral Art Online, and we're working with one bunch of flowers for as many designs as we can get out of them.